I think I had to reacquaint myself with weight training, and probably in a safer fashion. I had to let my ego aside, and kind of slow down a little bit, but it's all great. I mean, it really has been a fantastic transition. And then the other thing that I just think is such a huge plus is the 1 pound increments. Suddenly you can go up 5 pounds within, a week or two or whatever, but you don't stand there looking at that next big, weight and go, do I go from 5 to 10 or, 30 to 35 or whatever it is? That to me is kind of mind stopping.
Time to hit the gym, better do it smart. Get your own coach, there where you are. Start the day right, there in your home. With the smartest gym in the world, ready, set, go. Smart handle, smart bar, smart training, there you are. Customize, make it right, AI, form advice. Superset will show you what it's all about. It's a total workout.
Welcome to the Superset Podcast, episode 24. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
And you've had a big week.
What'd I do?
You did burpees.
Well, I mean, yeah. You posted it.
I did. Me and people went nuts.
You surreptitiously recorded me.
You're welcome.
Without my enthusiastic consent.
People were so stoked. People were saying things like, this is inspiring AF.
You have a very low bar for inspiration.
That was Tim Shaughnessy. I think he has a high bar.
Well, thank you, but that's all it takes. Okay.
Yeah, because seeing you do it when you've said for years you couldn't, you didn't want to.
I still don't want to.
But you can.
I still don't want to. And
your form is better than you think it is.
I don't know. When I saw the video, I was like, oh, look at that. I'm a whole 2 inches off the ground. Sure felt taller.
I mean, I feel the same way when I do
basement,
that stuff.
I tell myself I'm worried about hitting my head on the ceiling. All 4'9" of me. So
you're taller than that.
Not much, but a little. So what pray tell do you have in store for people this week?
We're going to talk about a big milestone for Tonal. We're going to talk about new content, some stuff that's coming up on the Tonal Talks, and a few in the news items as well.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find the podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and leave a review. That's always helpful.
Yes, please.
And then you can also check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Superset Podcast. While you're there, like the page and join the group. And if you like what you're hearing, maybe share it on your social media channel so other people know that we're worth checking out. So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
So Tonal hit a very exciting milestone.
It really is. It is an exciting milestone. Tonal collectively, the entire community.
Yes.
So we're part of it. 10 billion with a B pounds lifted.
And I don't mean to brag, but I think at least 75 of those pounds belong to me.
75?
At least 75.
I would give that at least 75. Yeah.
So you're welcome, Tonal.
Next year, you're going to get your profile thing at the end of the year, and you're going to find out that you lifted a Statue of Liberty or something, and you're going to be like, "Whoa!" But that is astounding.
It is. That's really cool.
10 billion pounds. Congrats to everyone in the community and to Tonal. That is really cool.
New Tonal content.
As always, tons of new content.
Always coming at us.
Tonal.
Yeah, totally coming at us. So there's some different kinds of classes coming up. There's more mobility classes that just released. So we have daily mobility, Start Strong with Coach Allison. So this is kind of a gentle flow to wake up your entire body specifically. Also, there's a midday energy with Coach Allison. if you can't kind of catch on to the theme here, this would be a good break in the middle of your day. And then there's daily mobility posture fix. This is this is important for anyone who has a job that they sit in front of a computer, because it's all about keeping your posture instead of being slumped over our laptop. So that is super important. And then evening calm with Coach Allison. That's releasing the tension of the day. I could often use that. Probably ought to start doing that every day. And then
I would recommend it, but I'm kind of scared to.
And then there was also some bar classes that hit. Brisk Barre with Coach Francis. So this is a quick pace of bar, so you can get it moving quickly, and you're in and out in 17 minutes. And then there is a brand new program that dropped about a week ago from Coach Nicolette. This is to help improve your daily posture with a 2-week program, and it's all live beta. So she's actually doing the entire class with you. That's pretty cool. So it's 3 times a week for 2 weeks, and you'll get a better understanding of movement mechanics while developing a straighter spine. So it's low key, but still a challenge. Then there's a new workout, core stabilizer with Coach Jackson. This is an intermediate core workout, 25 minutes, and it is the first step to core strength. It's going to build your stability. It's foundational moves that are going to set you up for a 6-pack.
Awesome.
I know you want to try that, Tom. Is that one of your goals? Are you going for a 6-pack?
Yeah, I don't know that I could live long enough to get a 6-pack.
I don't know that we eat well enough.
Yeah, there's also that.
I mean, I feel like we're doing really good, but, I enjoy a piece of chocolate. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. You would also enjoy it if I had a 6-pack, though. Who are we kidding?
I would not complain.
She's like, well, I could still eat the chocolate, and you could have the 6-pack.
It seems like a win-win.
Those things don't conflict in any way, shape, or form.
I would be okay with that, Tom.
So Shape Magazine had an interesting article, and it doesn't mention Tonal specifically. It actually talks about Peloton a lot, which obviously a lot of our listeners also have Pelotons, but it talks about swapping out cardio-heavy workouts for strength training.
And I think this is important for people to hear, because people who... they love their cardio, and they've been told their entire lives that cardio burns calories and it's the best way to lose weight. All of which are valid, valid thoughts. I mean, it does help you lose weight, but it's not the only way to lose weight.
Right.
And it kind of depends on your body type. Some people, when they gain muscle, they also can easily gain weight.
Right.
So there's also people that can... they have it. My point being, there's lots of different body types.
Yeah.
But this article talks about how much confidence they have gained from doing strength workouts. And I have to say, that is one of my favorite things about Tonal. Feeling strong, feeling confident, being able to move in a different way has been amazing. Like knowing that I can pick up the groceries without any help, that type of thing.
I love the fact that I don't have to help with the groceries.
I didn't say you didn't have to help.
What you just said, you were just bragging about getting the groceries with no help. And so I don't want to step on your female empowerment. I'm here to help.
I was just saying.
I'm being supportive.
I mean, you
by
can
not
still
bringing in the groceries with you.
You can still help me, Tom.
I am, by not bringing in the groceries with you.
Okay, so this has gone awry.
No, I'm just playing. Well, that's what you said. I'm just quoting you back to you. Well, that's a stony silence. So
anyway, if you would like, if you're out there thinking, is Tonal for me? Is more strength training for me? What's a good balance? Keep in mind, you can do strength training and not give up your cardio altogether, but still get an amazing workout and get added benefits. It's not always about the scale. That's all I wanted to say.
Absolutely.
Tonal Talks.
So there's a new Tonal Talk coming up on the 19th.
Yeah, originally it had been scheduled for April 28th, I believe. Ali Orady was going to do a Tonal Talk and answer all of our questions about Tonal, like what's
the future of Tonal.
The future of Tonal.
Yeah.
And the latest round of funding. So can't wait to hear this one. It is May 19th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So Tom, mark your calendars. That's 7 p.m. Central.
Okay.
Okay.
And then if you're looking to catch up on some past Tonal Talks.
There has been some really good stuff. Harry and Arlene Kraushaar, they are brother and sister, and they're both Tonal members.
Okay.
And they're kind of like extreme opposites, but they have also worked on their relationship while training with the Tonal. And so I thought it was pretty cool that they did a Tonal talk with both of them to hear both sides of their stories. So pretty cool. That happened on May 12th, if you missed that. So, just go back a little bit, hit that play button, and find out about Harry and Arlene.
And then on May 7th, they talked to Michelle Wie West. It's sports, so I don't know.
I know.
She's a golfer, professional golfer, and an investor in Tonal.
She is, and this is really cool because she talked specifically about highlighting AAPI athletes. So American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month was. That was the entire month of it is the entire month of May.
It's May, yeah.
And so they kicked off the month, because this was on May 7th, talking about her experience, talking about culture, racism, allyship, and I thought that was pretty cool. So that happened on May 7th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So you can go back and find that as well. And just to be specific, Michelle Wie West is a 5 times LPGA winner.
Wow.
And a Women's Open winner.
The Tonal Community Giving Back.
So obviously, India is currently being just
ravaged,
pummeled by COVID-19.
It's awful.
And Tonal wants to do their part to help out. So they're donating to path.org.
Yeah, they're making a donation, and PATH is focusing its efforts on providing medical oxygen to India. So if you want to learn more and do your own donation, it's path.org is the website. So you can easily make a donation there as well. Anything we can do to support India, we should do. It's been a crazy year.
Yes, it has. The Tonal blog featured Coach Pablo with some tips on nourishing your inner strength.
They did. So this particular blog talks to Pablo about, the questions from Pablo for Pablo were about mental health benefits of exercise. And so he kind of talks about mental health and how he got drawn to exercise, why it was important to him. He talked about how when you're struggling with mental health, it can be difficult to be motivated to move. And then he gave suggestions for people on how they can get motivated. So I would say that this is a really good kind of how-to guide for somebody who's struggling with any kind of depression, anxiety, that type of thing. Like they want to move, they want to take steps, but it's difficult. There might be some really good ideas in here. Of course, that does not negate talking to a professional,
right?
And seeking help in medically professional ways as well.
Tonal and celebs.
So Bubba Watson, professional golfer, and I know that because it says right here, professional golfer.
It's right there.
Yeah, because I wouldn't know otherwise.
Right there.
Because it's sports.
Yeah.
But he posted on Instagram himself in front of his Tonal.
Yes, and then Carlos Baudet was nice enough to post it in the official Tonal community, and then I took a screenshot of it, and that's how it ended up here. Because we don't follow sports that well.
Totally.
We're not great about following it. Although I do happen to remember that Bubba Watson also rides Peloton.
And that makes sense. There's a lot of crossover there. He also apparently has some pretty sweet video games in his workout room.
Look at that.
Look at that.
What is that?
looks like the one's a golden tee, and the other one looks like
big game hunter. I bet.
I would say it looks like it's one of those hunting ones.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah, well done.
We ought to go visit Bubba.
I'm sure he'll have us right over.
I'm sure
he would like hanging out with us because we would not be starstruck because we know nothing about sports.
That's true. We'd be like, we just see you as a regular person.
Yeah.
Can we come over and play your video games?
Yeah. We don't love you for golf. We love you for your cool video games.
Tonal Book Club.
So it's time for a new book for Read Between the Reps, and this month it's from Brene Brown.
Yes, it is called The Gifts of Imperfection.
Okay.
And it's important to know that because Brene Brown has a ton of very widely celebrated books.
She does.
So I could see her coming up again in this Read Between the Reps book club.
Absolutely. And unlike a lot of people out there with self-help books, she's actually a trained professional.
That's true.
Like she went to school and did the work. She didn't just read some catchy memes on the Pinterest and decide to turn it into a book. So
that is a good point. She also has done studies on the things that she talks about. Like specifically, she's done studies about how people process things and how they like this one being imperfection. I don't know specifically what study she's done. I'm giving an example. She might have studied how it affects your self-esteem and how you go about in your everyday life,
right,
taking on that self-esteem, the imperfection that you might have. And so I think that anytime she talks about things like this, it's usually like reframing. It's like giving yourself a more positive thought process. So I'm really curious to hear how people like this one.
Absolutely.
Checking in with the Tonal community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Laurie Amerson. Hey, Laurie, how's it going?
Hey, yeah, great. How are you all?
Oh, wonderful.
Good. We see your setup behind you. You got the whole kit and caboodle. I see
Look
a Peloton Tread Plus, and I see your Tonal.
I have crystal envy. Anything Crystal has, I have to get.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm taken.
Talked to me purchase. Yes, Tom, you're off limits, but I'm married, so it's all good.
Ooh, this is about to go a whole different way, Laurie.
I am flattered, but
yes,
I
inappropriate.
was going to call
Sorry.
call your setup there the Holy Trinity. Like you've got you've got the big three.
I do. And it really is because of you, Crystal.
Aw.
Well, I don't know that my husband would go, aw.
But you look damn good, Laurie. And I feel like this has something to do with it.
And that should shut your husband up.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Well, that's good. But so how did you first hear about Tonal? And like, when was that in the like grand scheme of things?
Yes. Well, I mean, I heard it obviously from your Peloton Clip Out podcast. And I've been listening to you since I got my bike a while back. And then because of you, I was encouraged to get the tread, which I also love. I have not become a runner.
Okay.
But I hike really well.
Hey, those hikes are
great.
tough. They're hikes great. Are tough.
Yeah.
Whew.
So it's been great. And then continuing to listen to your podcast, your other one, you started talking about the Tonal. And at that point, it was actually a really good time for me personally, because we'd gone through a move. It wasn't a far move, but the setup that we had at home in the gym that I'd been a member of for 25 years and taught yoga at was no longer in my kind of bubble.
Okay.
So started going to another gym, and I didn't like it. I couldn't connect with the people. I felt like, I guess at the other gym, I felt like I was aging with my people. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the new gym and I felt just fish out of water. So I just quit going altogether. And then you were talking about the Tonal, and I guess I'd probably not been working out for about 1.5 years when I got the Tonal. So I know my strength had really dropped. I did do weight training. I did, classes and personal trainers and stuff like that. But I just let it all go.
Wow.
And, my strength what I was able to do, I could tell that I was letting it all go.
Oh, man.
So,
I bet that was frustrating. Because you feel like you're going backwards.
Well, and you are. And you go backwards so much quicker than you go forward. So it was frustrating. It was frustrating. But so I thought, well, I said to my husband, so I think I'm going to get this tonal. And he said, well, I don't think we really need it. I said, well, I'm not asking permission. I'm going to get this tonal. And so he actually loved the gym and he loves his little routine. And I said, you don't have to use it. It's going to be for me. And this was in December of 2019 that it arrived.
Okay.
So, as we know, that's going to play into the future.
You're about to really win this argument.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You crushed it.
I crushed it. But so he actually, started using it before COVID, and he ended up quitting the gym before COVID because he loved the tonal that much.
How about that? Has he apologized?
Fantastic. Over and over and over again. I actually told him I would try not to trash him too much.
So here's my question. So you said that you got the tonal because of Crystal and the Tread Plus because of Crystal. So right. Have you gotten your husband to start listening to the Monkees yet?
Some things are impossible.
He was already a Monkees fan.
Oh, look at that.
We're of that era.
She chooses wisely.
We used to watch the TV show.
Yeah. I mean, I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was the reruns, but it was a thing.
It was the reruns for me.
Yeah.
I'm not that old. It came out in 1966.
I mean, I don't know, Tom. I just know that it was on. And
I'm not like 65.
Hey, she's like, watch it.
Watch out.
It's okay if someone is, but I'm not.
Well, I'm not either. You're safe. Yeah. But it really has been an amazing, just a life-changing thing for me to have the tonal in the home. And also for my husband, he is has been a creature of habit.
Yeah.
He's a physician. He would get up in the morning at 4:45 and go to the gym and work out before going to the hospital. So he was very committed to his workout program as well, but he also would probably for about 25 years, his workout program was the exact same. Mm-hmm. So he didn't shift things up. And I think that's been a huge plus for him in terms of his strength as well, is just, doing the programs and doing different exercises and, different things with the weight training than he'd been doing for 25 years. So.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And I feel like people who like to lift weights, if that's your background, like that used to be what everybody did. So like if you learned that routine,
that's just what you do.
That's what you do.
That's what you do. Yeah.
So since he's not driving to the gym anymore, what's he doing with that extra time? Does he sleep in? Or did COVID rob him of that time?
No, he still gets up at 4:45 every morning. But he does do, so it is nice because he will do Peloton and Tonal. Both most days.
That is great.
So, and the other, before he would have to either do a weight training session or, take a spin class or something like that. But so I think it's been huge for him in terms of convenience as well.
So I'm curious what your thoughts are on going from using equipment at the gym, because, I know I've talked about this before. That always was very intimidating to me. And so what is that experience like using the weights at the gym versus using tonal? And what I mean is, like, did it translate well? Were you surprised? What were your thoughts?
I was very surprised. I thought it translated quite easily. There are a few moves that I kind of had to, I realized I'm a cheater. If I can get away with doing less, I will. So I realized that I used a lot of momentum and a lot of, poor form. And I feel like the coaches with Tonal do such a superb job. And in fact, I will kind of digress. Our daughter is a physical therapist, and she has since purchased a Tonal. I know. And she is so impressed with the instructors and how well they cue. And so, I think I had to reacquaint myself with weight training, and probably in a safer fashion. I had to let my ego aside, and kind of slow down a little bit, but it's all great. I mean, it really has been a fantastic transition. And then the other thing that I just think is such a huge plus is the 1 pound increments. Suddenly you can go up 5 pounds within, a week or two or whatever, but you don't stand there looking at that next big, weight and go, do I go from 5 to 10 or, 30 to 35 or whatever it is? That to me is kind of mind stopping.
Yes.
So with this 1 pound, it's like, I could do a pound.
Anybody can do a pound.
Yeah, exactly. I could do a pound. So I think my strength has just gone, through the roof. That it would not have done if I'd had to sit there and make those decisions, because, as I said, I'm a cheater.
Wow.
So
is that cheating? That's being efficient.
It is being efficient. It's also human nature.
Efficient.
It's human nature because because your body literally will do things like your arms will start to drop because it's like it wants to do less. Like we are hardwired to be efficient beings, and and so it's hard to make ourselves do the hard things. So
yeah, I am so efficient.
I was probably more efficient before Tonal. They've made me less efficient.
Yeah.
Well, but you needed to be a little less efficient.
A little, yeah.
I
and
like
by the way, Tom, I was going to say, I have to say, I'm very impressed. I loved the secret being leaked and all of that, but I'm very impressed, and it's so exciting for me that anybody, can change kind of a life trajectory by using something like this, and it does change your life. It really does.
Well,
quality of life. Trust me.
Well, I will say, piggybacking on the 1 pound thing, I like the fact that it makes that decision for you. You know what I mean? Like It's not. You don't even have to decide. It's just like you just turn around and you're just like, oh, I guess I don't really pay attention. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I guess over time I've gone up 4 or 5 pounds. I don't know.
No, I pay attention.
Me too.
And there are times when I'm like, what?
Hold on, I'm not ready for that.
I didn't ask for that. Okay, if you think I can do it, I'll try. So, it really has, and that has been a beautiful thing, Tom, because it does, again, it helps you get stronger, even when you're not watching.
Speaking of.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so
it sounds
Laurie,
like she's going to tell something embarrassing about me.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's what normally comes with that grin.
I am just bragging on Laurie because
okay.
she's like just so like nonchalant about all this, but like she recently hit 1 million pounds lifted. Now, she just said she's had her tonal less time than I have, and she's already hit 1 million pounds. Like, that's freaking amazing. You are a badass, and I love it.
Thank you. I'm going to start crying because really to hear that, it kind of makes me just, I can't breathe. I mean, when you think about that, it's amazing. And to be honest, it's 1 million pounds that I would not have lifted.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to the gym.
Yeah.
So this is 1 million pounds plus now.
Right. It's been a couple
because I didn't quit. But and it's funny because my mother-in-law is 90 years old, and she has always been active, and she still plays. I think it's a water volleyball or whatever. And before COVID, of course, they had restrictions as we all did. But before COVID, she would go to the gym, and she'd be lifting her weights. And I caught myself one time thinking, well, she's only lifting like 10-pound weights. And then I was like, that's 10 more pounds than you're lifting. Yeah. It's like, get with it. If you want to be like her at 90, it starts now.
It does.
I can't wait till I'm 88 and go, oh.
It's time for me to go ahead and start that weightlifting program I've always wanted to do.
So it really, you have to start now. And I've read that between the ages of 50 and 70, the average person will lose, the average inactive person, which is not me anymore, clearly. But the average inactive person is going to lose 30% of their strength power between the ages of 50 and 70.
Wow.
And you think, well, that's not going to continue to get better. I mean, it's like, it's only going to go more downhill.
It's not like at 70, then you're like, you're good now.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
Well, because your age really starts to accelerate when you get into your 70s and your 80s. So if you've lost all that strength by the time that you're 70 and you didn't have the mobility, I mean, it's really fascinating. You can tell the people that just like the woman you were just talking about, that she's playing volleyball when she's 90. Is that what you just said? Water volleyball when she's 90?
Water volleyball.
But I mean, how many people do you see that are 70 that like really struggle? You know, they struggle to move around. They struggle to be comfortable. And
I will say, as I get older, I pay more attention to older people. Like, you know, in terms of like gauging.
We appreciate that.
in terms of gauging the life cycle. And it is fascinating how some people you see in their 70s and they look like they're in their mid to late 50s. And some people you see in their 70s and you're like, that guy couldn't make mud puddles when he was a kid because he's older than dirt.
Right.
And he just looks, you know what I mean? And it's just like, but you know that they're roughly the same age, but they just look so radically different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, genetics play some part in that.
Sure.
But so does being active. So does mobility.
It does.
It really does. So,
And that's the other cool thing about the tonal is the mobility.
Yes.
You know, when I was in my 30s, I mean, you can go and do something and then go on the next day and do something else. It changes. It really does. And it's so nice that they are putting that also as an emphasis, the mobility and, you know, teaching you a little bit about smaller muscle connections. And this is, you know, it's just, I'm getting so much information and so much out of it beyond just the weights.
The smaller muscle connections are important because all of my muscles are small. So that comes in handy.
They're connected. They're connected.
When you were talking about losing 30% of your muscle mass, I'm like, I only have 30%.
Well, it's a good thing you started before you turned 50.
I know.
Like, come on, Tom, take your sweatshirt off. Let us see what you got.
You don't want to see it.
He is such a liar. He like looks like a different person. Like he put on a t-shirt today that I don't think he's worn in like a year and a half.
I've never worn it. We bought it when we were on a Disney cruise. It's the t-shirt from Castaway Cay, and it's an XL. I always get XL shirts, and like it always fit tight. It accentuated my cleavage in a way that I didn't like. And, yeah. Sure, I don't think pecs are supposed to sag like that, but okay. And so, but I was like, I haven't worn this in forever. I've been trying to rotate I've got a lot of nerd shirts in my closet.
A lot. I should never get shit about all the exercise clothes I have based on the number of t-shirts he has. Okay, but anyway.
Well, one of my t-shirts equals 5 of her leggings from a pricing standpoint.
Anyway.
Just, you brought it up. So...
Fortunately, all these nerdy t-shirts now fit, Crystal.
That's right.
And so, because you would think that they would fit, because most of the nerd shirts, I mean, who are we kidding? They're making most of them in XL and double XL, right? Like there's not a lot of need for small nerd t-shirts, but anyway, and I pulled it out because I was like, I haven't worn it in forever, and it was like, oh, that actually fits okay.
It not only did it fit okay, it hung off of him.
I mean, that's amazing.
It is.
It's amazing.
He's got muscles coming in everywhere.
Well, let's not go crazy.
Lots of little muscles popping.
That's right.
Sounds more like a medical condition. I don't think Tonal's like, don't tell people that.
Is that a symptom or something?
Yeah. Do you live near power lines? What's happening?
So you mentioned what your husband's workout schedule looks like. What does your workout schedule look like?
Mine is probably a little bit more leisurely. It doesn't happen quite at 5 a.m. but I generally like to do the programs.
Yeah.
Because I need accountability. If I need to stand there and scroll through and pick out something, I'm going to cheat.
Yep.
So generally I sign up, do the 4-day programs. They seem to work well for me. And then the Peloton will be, either the bike or the tread, probably 3 or 4 days a week, but I also do outside walking and hiking. So I try to get a lot of walking in. I do feel like that's probably one of the best things for my body in terms of, movement.
Yeah, it's really good because it keeps you at that, zone 2 in cardio, which is really where you want most of it to be. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And my husband and I both like to do bicycle trips.
Oh.
That's how we like to travel, is do stuff like that. And so
where do you put the luggage? It seems like it'd be hard to pedal.
I know. Well, I have smaller clothes now than I used to. So
touché.
It's just, yeah. Just in my little backpack. Yeah. No, we have a SAG wagon that brings my, 3 suitcases and all that stuff.
She has her own personal Sherpa.
Yeah, you have to when you do that. That's why
I have people. Exactly. But so the Peloton, the bike is important, just the time in the saddle. But for me, it's more just to be able to do nice leisurely long rides. I'm not racing.
Yeah.
I'm not into any of that stuff. So I am competitive though. So
are you? You watch that leaderboard?
I do. And I cannot wait because I turned 60 in July, which means I get to go to the next.
Oh, so you're gonna crush the 60-year-old ladies?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I look, when I'm on the 50-year-old leaderboard, I'm like, a lot of them are just like, they just turned 50 or they're only 51. And so I cannot wait to take down those older ladies.
Yeah.
That I will now be one of.
So do you feel like Tonal helps you or will help you with the aging process? Do you think it'll?
Oh, absolutely. The thing that was most surprising for me, because like I mentioned, I teach yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So balance has always been a huge part of my daily practice. But I think my body learned how to do these balancing postures and muscle memory kicked in. And then when I started doing some of these things like one-legged, step ups and different stuff where you're really using just one of the sides of your body, my balance was awful.
Yeah, balance is the worst. I hate those.
It's the worst. Yeah. And I was shocked and kind of embarrassed. I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh.
Because it's like, oh, you're a yoga instructor. You know balance. But it's different when you add the weights in.
Those are like still poses or slow moving. And that's very different than a dynamic move.
The dynamic and the functional, approach that Tonal takes is, functional mobility has just been great. So, definitely, one of the hardest things for aging people is the falling and the risk of falling. And so I really feel like that's been a surprising benefit for me, just getting my strength back, one-legged, like the step ups and stuff like that. At the beginning, I was like, whoa. And the Tonal kept saying, use your core. I'm like,
I don't have one.
I did.
Yeah.
Everything I have.
It's broke, damn
it. and so, so as you go through the programs, and that's the other thing I love, the 4-week, programs, because you do see progress.
Yeah.
And so I go through and like the second week's better, third week's better, fourth week, I'm like, yeah, watch this. I got you, Tonal. But it is nice to see that kind of progress. And I was surprised by how challenging that part of the workout was for me.
Oh, wow.
I thought I'd be able to do it easily.
Have you tried Coach Natalie's balancing act yet? I
haven't. That's next up. My daughter's actually doing that one right now.
I love it. And it really, everything is a single sided move. But it's
Right.
like, it's all dynamic. So you're still doing the same, the same kind of workout you would do. It's still very strength oriented, but it's all
Right.
one-sided. I love it. Love
Right.
it. Love it.
Right.
That sounds
well, that's
awful.
the next step. I know. Tom, you've mentioned that just means you have to do twice as many things.
And I got to balance? No, I don't want to do any of that. I'm glad I'm even
You
here.
said that. I'm like, I totally agree. Because when I see those come up, I'm like, dang, now I got to do 24, not just 12, and get it over with and move on. Yeah, but
I got things
it's
to
good
do.
for us.
I got TV shows to watch.
I know.
I don't have time for this.
It's been great. And in terms of, me out in the wild, I've got 4 grandchildren and I want to do with them. I want to be with them. And a couple of days ago, my daughter and I took her 5-month-old and then my other granddaughter, who's 3.5, to the zoo. And, it's like the 3.5-year-old kept saying, Lolly, I want to be on your head. She calls me Lolly. I want to be on your head, which is the shoulders. So, I'm standing up and I can bend down and pick her up and put her on my shoulders and off we go.
Yeah,
and,
not a lot of grandmas can do that.
Yeah. And that to me that's where it really pays off.
Do you ever talk trash? Or you're like, let's see your other grandma do that
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
out loud.
Not in front of that other grandmother.
Yeah, they're like, no, she was with us. But if she wasn't there, I'd been like, suck it, other
Like
grandma.
I said, I'm competitive. But to me, honest to goodness, it's quality of life. When you're younger, it really doesn't. You don't think about it as much because you can just keep rolling with life. And as you get older, you realize that there are, things that aren't as easy as they used to be. So that to me is why I'm doing it. Is really to be able to. I still do cartwheels on the beach.
No, you
with
don't.
my grandchildren. I do.
Oh,
I did one like 3 weeks ago.
I feel
My
like you should
philosophy
be.
is
you need to be in one of those commercials.
I know. I imagine your life is like B-roll from like commercial for like some sort of drug.
Centrum Silver.
That I don't
want
know
to
what
see
it
you on
does.
there. You need to be their spokesperson.
got it.
Just whenever you see those drug commercials, where it's just like as they're reading the side effects for like Flexium 12, and then it's like, and then people are like, they're doing cartwheels on the beach, or they're putting their grandkids on their shoulders. Like you're living in a pharmaceutical commercial.
You are.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. My hair's flowing behind me as I run. But I am living the dream, so I'll take it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
I love that. What is your all-time favorite thing about the Tonal?
It really is the programs and the programming. They're fantastic. I love just walking downstairs, turning it on. It knows what I'm doing next. I just push go, and I go. And to me, it just couldn't get any easier.
Yeah.
From that aspect.
Right. The workout's still really tough, but there's less. There's so many fewer roadblocks to keep you from doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And there are times when I'm standing there with my finger hovering. Don't really want to, and it goes close, and you pull it back, and it's like, and then you push it, and here we go. So, it does make it, easy to stay consistent, and consistency is key.
It is.
I feel like we're very.
My bra says that today. I have a Matt Wilpers bra on from Peloton. It says consistency is key.
I feel like we're very similar though in how we utilize Tonal, because I'm the same. Like I want the programs because I don't want to think about it, and that if by doing a program I only have to think about it like once a month, as opposed to if I did a workout and then I got to come down tomorrow and pick another one. That's too much. That's too much work.
The other great thing about the Tonal is the community.
Yes.
Because I learned so much from everybody and stay motivated from the community. But it's so funny because, you're finishing up a program and it's almost like the next day is Christmas morning. It's like, what am I going to start now? Who gets excited about starting a new workout program. But there's so many options and you hear so many great things. You're like, oh, it's time to start a new one. So there's this continuous excitement, of what's next.
Yes.
So we're similar, but not identical.
You don't get that excited?
No. Whenever I'm done with a program, insight, nobody cares. Whenever I'm done with the program, I immediately pick the next one because it takes me a while to find one that looks like would move the needle forward but not be too hard. And
Right.
and so it might take a while. And so I don't want to, if I come down for the next session and have to stand there for 5 minutes looking for something, I'll just turn around and walk away. So I'm I have to join the program before I leave, so it's waiting for me when I come down next time.
Right. And I'm so that. I mean, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Okay, but for somebody who just said that he doesn't like to do, too hard of one, just so you know, he just finished Go Big or Go Home 2. And and then
No, it was the first one.
Oh, the first one. I'm sorry. Go Big or Go Home 1.
I haven't done that one either.
He went straight into 4 weeks to fat loss. Right?
I don't
That's
know
what
any
I
better.
said.
All right, that's intense.
I don't know any better.
I was like, the next one you need to pull back a little.
We've been doing the MetPro thing, and that my Angelo's been on me about doing more cardio, and so I was like, well, this one's got fat loss in the title. It should be okay.
Yeah.
And it is.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah.
But still.
Because your cardio has to come from tonal, because clearly
Right?
you're not going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's made that pretty clear. Right. He doesn't even want to walk on the thing.
I had to stand on the other day, the tread the other day when we were cleaning the basement. I had to step over it and walk across it. So I was on it briefly.
He was on it. He was. Yeah. And then he felt
you
really
break
tall.
out?
And I didn't think we were going to get him off of
Yeah,
there.
I was like, oh, I feel so tall up here. I'm almost 5 foot.
The unknown advantage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He will now be on that for all your family photos. And Tom on the tread.
The tread's a part of our family now.
Yeah.
Comes everywhere we go.
They are kind of part of Peloton and Tonal are kind of part of our family
That's
now.
true. That's a good point. we even plan our vacations around it. We're like, oh, who do we know from the podcast wherever we're going?
Yeah.
We should go and see so and so.
Seems only fair because it kind of funds the vacations.
I would say. So Atlanta now, you have all the setup. Even though I think you're friends with Fred, you've already got a.
I've got multiple. It's okay. I can have more than one Atlantean.
But Atlanta's a
Yeah.
big town. It depends on which part we're staying.
That's
And so
right.
that could.
True.
That's right. Yeah.
It's true.
Traffic.
Wow.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Now that is so true. Traffic is back.
Yeah.
The COVID traffic was great.
I bet.
And yikes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I remember at the
That's
beginning.
the other advantage, though, for being at home to work
Right.
out.
Yeah. Remember at the beginning when you felt like you needed a note whenever you drove, to explain what you were doing in case they were going to stop you?
That was weird times.
Yeah.
Weird times.
Yeah.
It's been a weird year.
So do you use any of the other content on Tonal or no?
Not so much. I mean, I really don't a whole lot. Even time to time, I feel like, I kind of feel good. Maybe I should go do one of those little separate core workouts. I'm not very good at that. I'm a program.
But you're doing
Girl,
a lot,
and
So don't
Right.
say it like, you're disappointed. It's just you're doing all the other things. So
Yeah.
and you do
Right.
yoga
And
on top of it.
I was going to say, and I do my own yoga thing. So, so I feel pretty well rounded in that regard.
You are. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for people just getting a Tonal?
Yes. Trust the programming. Trust the instructors. I know that a lot of people complain about, it's a 4-week thing and you do the same thing over and over again, but it works. And I also listen to the cueing every time.
I do too.
And I feel like, a lot of people, or even myself, I don't really love to hear the joke 4 times.
Yeah.
And I feel like actually they're starting to do less of that. I think the newer programming is pretty much just instruction based, which is nice. But I can't hear those cues too often. I mean, the body awareness is so important.
Yeah, because
and
you get
it also
so
brings me
focused.
back just focus. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget, I'll be like so focused on, I don't know, if I'm doing a bench press, it's like having my arms at the right angle. So I'm, feeling it. But then because of that, I don't have my, I don't have my shoulders back, my shoulder blades back.
Right.
So like hearing, I need to hear it every time. So I get everything where I want it to be. Yes.
Right. And that may, it may be, for me, it goes back to yoga training. I mean, in a yoga classes, you do really talk about the form a lot. And it just makes such a huge difference for me to stay connected to my body.
Well, and like you said, I mean, while it can be a little bit repetitive, think of it like dating in college. You do the same thing for 4 weeks, and then you pick a new thing.
I married the first guy I dated.
Okay, so no, not for Laurie.
And
Rick was my first date when I was 15, and we've been married over 40 years.
Oh my God. What an amazing story.
Wow, and at 15 you picked a doctor.
Wow.
Well
Good
done.
job, Laurie.
Yeah.
I tell you. Well, maybe. But so I'm not I don't turn around the men.
Yeah.
Never
well,
have,
and who are we kidding? I didn't turn around the women either. Like that was not my
You're on
forte.
top, Tom.
I'd be lucky. I don't know that I ever had sex with 2 different women in the same calendar year.
Oh.
Me either.
We are so much alike.
More things.
Yeah, Crystal, I don't know how to break it to you. You got to get a medical degree.
Oh, man. I got to add that to the calendar.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Crystal can do anything more. I can't believe you got your certification for personal training. That's
I did.
amazing.
I really enjoyed it too. I
Amazing.
really enjoyed learning everything. It was a lot of fun. And I'm doing my nutrition certificate right now. So I know. I'm
now
trying to.
It sucks because now when she lectures me, I can't even argue.
Right, because I actually know what I'm talking about. So
I officially know what I'm talking
Exactly.
about. Here's the certificate.
Awesome.
Smart lady. I may have to do that.
Well, I guess before we let you go, where can people find you on social media if you would like to be found?
Facebook is just Laurie Amerson. And I am on Instagram. I kind of play with art. So on the Instagram account is going to have some of my pottery and encaustic photography, but also just time with the children and grandchildren in life. And that's L.A. Amerson is how you find me on Instagram.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it.
We do.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. It was a lot of fun.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next time?
Next week, we are going to talk to a Tonal community member, Michael Palm.
Awesome. So until then, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe, and they can find me on Instagram or Twitter at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/Superset Podcast. While you're there, like the page and join the group. And you can watch these episodes at our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/The Clipout, the name of our other podcast. So anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep lifting.
Smart handle, smart bar, smart training. There you are, customize, make it right. AI, form and vibe. Superset will show you what it's all about. It's a tonal workout.
The Superset is made possible in part by support from Tonal.